Welcome back, gang. With wedding season slowing down in this beautiful January winter month, I figure I'll take an opportunity to show you my bag, or bags rather, what gear I'm using going into the 23 season and why. As you know, I started as a photographer and now I'm doing films. So that had an impact on my gear, and that essentially increased the need to add more stuff in it. So I'm gonna take maybe perhaps 10-15 minutes to show you exactly what's in my bag. So pull up a chair and I hope you enjoy this. So this is my primary bag. It is bigger than what you would have seen in the past, and that's by design. Now that I'm, have accumulated a little bit more gear, I needed to have something with a little bit more capacity. So this is a relatively inexpensive Mosiso bag, but it allows me to carry more gear than ever before. And the two primary devices that you will find in here are my primary camera bodies, which are Fujifilm DSLRs, mirrorless and hybrid cameras. This is my X-T3, which you would have seen a review in the past. And this is my newer camera, which is a Fujifilm X-T4. I've had this a few weeks now. I did an unboxing recently, so if you haven't seen it yet, please click here and go take a look. But I've used this at one specific wedding recently, and I will do a more thorough review, but it definitely performed flawlessly, just like I expected it right out of the box. It's an amazing camera, and it's a 26 megapixel DSLR camera that uses the same lens as my X-T3. And I will have these two camera bodies on me at all times at any shoot. I did add these, what they call small rig cage, and it allows me to build the cameras up as I need to, depending on whether I'm doing photography, videography, or both. This allows me to do more with them. So this is the two cameras that are in here at all times. I will also bring a third camera body, which happens to be my Canon SL2, which I'm filming right now, which I can't show you, but this is my third camera now. And I bring it on, leave it in the vehicle usually, and only use it if I really needed to, but so far I haven't had to. Within that, there is a third camera in this bag here, and this is my GoPro. If you've seen any of the weddings that I've shot, I use a combination of cameras, and this GoPro will typically live right here the whole day. As I'm shooting, it allows me to capture video and photo at the same time when I absolutely have to have both, but otherwise I use usually one of the DSLRs for video. So this is the main compartment. There is that 23mm lens that you saw it on the X-T4. That's my primary lens. My secondary lens is this Fujifilm 56mm f1.2. This is absolutely my favorite lens. I will never get rid of this unless they make a better lens, which could be potentially the 50 f1.0. But I feel like this is a much better lens because of size, and it's much more, I guess, user-friendly, I would say. And the images that come out of this lens are absolutely insane. The bokeh that it creates, especially when you have backlit or chandeliers or lights in the back, it's wild how much how the quality of the pictures you get out of this lens. And then I have my other lens, my video lens, which is this is the 18 to 55 f2.8 to f4. This is what I use primarily when I need to do video, but it only comes out periodically. I usually will have the 23-on-1, which is on the X-T4, and then my X-T3 will have the 56, and that gives me two prime lenses essentially, which gives me that close focal length when I need it to, and that wide lens when I need. So that's the main compartment in this bag. And then in here, this is where my harness lives. So in here there's my fanny pack. I'll tell you a little bit what's in there in a few seconds. But this is where my dual camera strap resides. So this is what I'll have on me, and then I will basically tie my DSLR cameras to these, and then they basically are on me the whole time, and I don't have to worry about it. If I'm just using one camera body, I might just use one of these like in single harnesses, but usually I'll have both cameras. This is why I like to use prime lenses, because they make absolutely the most, cleanest, sharpest images you possibly can. So but a wide lens doesn't give you sometimes that portraiture focal length that you want. So I have to have the 56, and it's kind of hard to constantly switch lenses. It's a pain, you miss moments. So that's why I prefer to have two camera bodies at all times on me. With two prime lenses, you get the best of both worlds. This bag is usually on me at all times during any given shoot. This is where I basically keep all of my batteries, if you will. You would know if you've owned a Fujifilm X-T3, you need quite a few of these batteries because they die really quickly. Obviously, the X-T4 has a bigger battery now, which requires you to change them less frequently. But but the X-T3 definitely needs a lot of camera batteries. And then also my GoPro batteries are all in here. And so by just having them on my body, I don't need to go back to my backpack and then dig for new batteries. I can just keep them on me. If I need to change it, I just do it right there, and I keep it moving. I just dropped this. So another thing that lives in this fanny pack is this SD card pack. This is where I keep all of my spare SD cards. I usually would have a dozen of them on me. They are dated, and there's a number on them. It allows me to keep track of which is which, the year they were purchased, and as you know, I try to get rid of these every 2 years, just because SD cards have a shelf life, and my biggest concern with that is I don't want to lose someone's wedding because one of my cameras essentially, or my SD cards died. However, the X-T3s and X-T4 Fujifilm camera bodies are pro-grade cameras, so they usually take 2 SD card, and I essentially have each shoot, there is a duplicate in that. So if one SD card dies, then I always have a backup. Because of that, it eats a lot more SD cards, so that's why I have to have a pack on me, so that I can change them. I'm always shooting in RAW, so that creates large files, so that creates more demand on space. And I'll also shoot in 4K in video, so that creates a lot more space. I typically shoot with 64 gig memory cards. I will likely be going to 128 gig card going forward, just so that way I have less and less things to swap out as the wedding day goes. So this is what's in this primary camera bag. So I'm going to show you my other bag. So this is what I will bring primarily, and then I have my other camera bag. I call this my lens bag, but there is a lot more than just lenses in here. But I'll show you the first what's in it essentially. So this, we'll come back to it in a few seconds. I'll show you exactly what's in there. But the main items that is in this camera bag is my large lens. This is my Fujifilm. It's the 55 to 140. It's a f2.8 through the whole focal length. I recently purchased this lens. I haven't done an unboxing or a review of it yet. I have had an opportunity to shoot it at a few different events. It's a really good quality lens. It was quite expensive compared to the others lenses that I own, and it's also heavy and cumbersome. So I'll be honest with you, it's not my favorite lens to use, but when I need it, especially when within a church where I can't be too close to the ceremony, this is what I take out, and it makes some pretty cool pictures. As well as video. It is iOS. There is an in-body image stabilization built into it. So when you're doing video, it makes for pretty stable photography, and it actually has pretty decent autofocus. I was quite surprised actually. I didn't miss many shots with this device. The only downside is just how heavy and large it is. It's kind of a bit of a pain to use, but I always bring it wherever I need it because it really lets me get close to the action without actually physically being there. So that's the first item that's in my bag. The next pieces are my flashes. You just said that you just saw that I use these two camera bodies at all times, and they both need a flash. And so I have my Godox. They're both V863 flashes, and I have them on my camera bodies at all times, especially in the evening or in a dark venues. And on top of that, I will always have a diffuser on it, just because you know, it allows me to really create, you know, some more natural light without having too of a washed out faces. So I will typically have this diffuser on top of my flash at all times. This is a MaxMod diffuser that MaxMod makes it essentially. So those are the two diffusers. What else is in here? Obviously my chargers. Pretty much everything that I use on a typical day will need batteries. So I have multiple chargers for my cameras. I'll have multiple chargers for my flashes, multiple chargers for my audio gear. So these flashes will live in here. Another bag that lives in this here are my small rig cage handle. So whenever I'm doing pure video, this is what I'll have on the cameras, and it lets me sort of get a wider stance and just hold the camera a little bit more stable, and it makes for better footage, if you will. The X-T4 has IBIS built into it, so there's less need for more of these accessories, but the X-T3 definitely benefits from using those small rig handles. So that's my bag number 2. I had mentioned this, I'd show you this bag earlier. What's in here? Well, this is where I kind of compile all of my audio gear. So I will have usually a Rode microphone living on top of my primary camera. So this is what I will record ambient sound whenever you're at a venue and you want to just record a quick conversation, or you want to interview guests, or you just want to just capture the sound of the event. This does an excellent job, quite frankly. It came with my Canon SL2 and it works perfectly fine on my X-T4 as well, so I just keep it. Other pieces of audio, this Tascam, it's a DR05X paired with this Sony lavalier mic. This is what I use to record usually the vowels or any kind of speech. It does an excellent job. It has a 64 gig memory card on there that can record hundreds of hours, and it takes 2 AA batteries, which is awesome. It's something that I don't have to recharge, so I just keep a bunch of AA's in this bag exactly, and then I just switch them up, and I don't have to worry about you know, putting it aside and charging it again. So other than that, within the bag there is more lavalier mics, and then this is where you'll find my Rode microphones. I had done a gloating review of these recently, a few months back, after I had an opportunity to use them. I'll be honest with you, after having used them on several occasions, I will basically be doing a follow-up this year because these devices have let me down quite a few times. Unfortunately, I don't trust them like I once did. I feel like maybe there's time to start upgrading, because depending on a few locations, some venues can introduce interference with these, and they really ruined one important event. I was able to have the audio recovered by an audio technician, so luckily, you know, my couples weren't, you know, disappointed about losing, you know, important speeches. But I'll be honest with you, they're not as good as I once, you know, the high regard that I had for them is no longer there. So that's not all that's in my bag. I'm not going to show you every little piece in here, but these live on my camera bodies as well whenever I'm doing video. Sorry, I didn't mean to blind you there, but I have two of these Godox lights, and they can go on top of the hot shoe or on those small ring handles that I showed you, and I'm able to essentially light up a scene when there is no natural light, and they do a pretty excellent job. So that's pretty much all that's in my bag, my two primary bags. I do carry a suitcase as well, and I'll show you exactly what is in there. All right, so the last bag that I have with me is not a bag at all. Actually, it's a suitcase essentially. It's one of my traveling suitcases that I repurposed it to help me carry more gear, just so that way I don't have to haul, you know, 500 bags every single time. It helps me just condense that to 2 or 3, and I'm good to go. The suitcase lives in my car usually, and I'll just pull out the stuff that I need. So in that suitcase, you'll find my Neewer N555 2-in-1 tripod and monopod. This is a really good product for the price. It actually is also a monopod. So this leg comes off, and you could use it as a monopod, and it's pretty really well, it's stable. It's a very stable monopod. It's hefty, so like, you know, the legs are not flimsy at all. They're pretty sturdy, and it catches some pretty good footage. It has a bubble leveler on top, so you know exactly how to set it up and quickly. And then this is a new tool that I recently got in the last you know, month or so. This is what they call a GlideCam. If you follow my channel, you would have seen that I did a review on the Ronin SC gimbal. I had recently purchased it, and I tried it out at an event, and I'll be honest with you, I couldn't get it to balance the camera. So I lost kind of faith in gimbals, but I'm trying out GlideCams now. No, haven't got to use it quite yet, but this is something I'm gonna try to you know, capture video footage. It's a very simple tool. It's essentially a base plate here with some weight at the bottom, and it allows you to balance you know, have reasonably sized cameras, and there is no batteries. There's not a lot that can go wrong with this, and so I'm gonna use it. Hopefully I'm able to, you know, add a different dimension to my video footage. Now I can actually move around and capture more of the scene. And last pieces that are in my suitcase are these light stands. They also double up as my GlideCam stand, so I can just have this here, and it will keep the GlideCam straight. Or I use it for whenever I want to run some lights, some dome lights, or I can actually use it for my flashlights. There's a screw that goes in here that you can attach your flashlight and do off-camera flashes. So these are pretty much all of the gear that I will have on me at all times whenever I'm at a wedding. So if you enjoy this kind of content, please hit the like and subscribe button. Leave me a comment, and I'll read and answer to as many as I possibly can. Thank you very much, and have yourself a great day. Peace.